What's up, everyone? It is the Beast Brian London, Brandon O'Doy. This is the Real Ones Canes podcast. Miami loses to Louisville in the last home game of the season, 38-31. Brandon, Miami had a chance against a team that is really good and came down to a Hail Mary. Didn't come through. We can talk about all the things that happened during the game, but in the end, they were not able to overcome some mistakes and lost the game.
Yeah, missed opportunity for Miami here today. Get a big top 10 win. Some really good points today in this game. Came out first, put up 7 points. You know, really what it ultimately comes down to is some defensive lapses and some undisciplined play on the offensive side of the ball. And at the end of the day, you can't do that when you're trying to knock off a 9-1 team. Now, the keys to success were all met in this game. However, the defense probably had their worst game of the season, and the offense didn't have a good enough game to kind of make up. And the defense has been carrying this team all year long. So, a lot to contemplate as you get ready to go to Chestnut Hills in a week, and the day after Thanksgiving for another sleepy noon. You got no help from the crowd. They never got up on third down. They never got up even in the last drive into the game. You had an exceptional performance of Martin Fletcher. Nobody else in the backfield could get it done. TVD played, like someone told me, okay. Whoever told you handily that Miami would win this game before the game, never talk to that person again. It kind of feels like it's a numb feeling. There were no expectations going into this about winning. It was how we're going to lose in my mind. But as the game was progressing, I thought, okay, well, Miami's coming to play a lot better than I thought. But we just could not cover this mesh swing concept. And credit, Brian Brom and his brother. And they just did an amazing job on offense today. And they took advantage of some personnel mismatches. Cam Kitchens had some defensive lapses. James Williams had some defensive lapses. And these are things that just really haven't happened, but maybe a few times all season. So it's a tough one to swallow, but got to get more pressure on the quarterback. Got to tackle soundly. Got to cover soundly.
The Braun brothers, Jeff, the head coach, Brian, the offensive coordinator, they both played quarterback at Louisville. They were guys who were offensive minds. Jeff learned out under Howard Schnellenberger. Bobby, I think his brother learned under Petrino. They really have good offensive minds, and you could tell that they came in with a scheme and a plan to really go against Miami's tough defense. They found a way to run the ball against a stout Miami defense that's been able to stop the run, and they were able to get the tight end open and other receivers open. So they really found a way to coach their way to a victory using their offense. And Miami, again, made some mistakes along the way that hurt them.
Made a lot of mistakes, and there also needs to be some recalibration of whoever's in the box. Louisville only had 2 corners all game long. Their corners coach, Steve Ellis, is a friend of mine. He said, reason we didn't want to play much bump and run because we only had 2 corners. Jarvis Brownlee, who's from Miami, Allendale High School, he didn't make the trip. So if you're looking at a game and you never see 2 guys come out and you never see anybody else who plays that position on the field, even on special teams, you got to try these guys. You got to get them running because you put them in a situation where they play a walk-on or they play a true freshman who's not played. And that, to me, is the only fault I can find on offense. You didn't take enough deep shots. You didn't stretch the field with Kobe Young. And at the end of the day, the freshman had a wonderful game. TVD didn't lose you the game. And I just think that it comes down to sort of a hairline. You look back to one key play in the game where Miami had forced Louisville into a field goal, but what happened was there was a timeout call for a review or something happened, and then Louisville went for it and got it, a touchdown. That, to me, is the difference in the game because the game was a 1-touchdown game.
The other difference, I think, before the end of the first half, Miami's playing for a field goal instead of running their offense, which in the first half looked pretty good. if they had picked up one first down, they prevent Louisville from scoring, and now you have a bit of a buffer. You know, you can talk about Chaney didn't get the first down when he stepped out, a couple yards short. You can talk about a couple things, but this team is still suffering from some time management issues, as well as, I think, from some offensive schematic and play calling issues.
I think the schematic issues are a result of trying not to put Tyler Van Dyke in a position where he's going to throw the game. I just honestly don't believe that Shannon Dawson is as bad as he looks. I just don't. He looked great earlier in the year. He looks good when Emory Williams is the quarterback. You know, there's a lot of nuance. He just doesn't look good with Tyler, and I think I've been very outspoken about this all year long. And I told him, it's like, this guy's costing you jobs because, you know, this should have been a gimme. There's a lot of talent. You're going to look back on this team, and you're going to say, wow, all that talent played on this team and didn't get it done. You're going to be like, wow.
I actually asked Mark Fletcher about that in the post-game press conference. I said, do you guys in the locker room know that you have more talent than the record shows? And he said, way more. It's not even close. We know that. We just got to get over the hump. So everyone in there knows that they are more talented than most of the teams they play. They just have not been able to execute from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint up to their talent level.
So that takes growth. So now going into year 3, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What confidence do you have? Because you're going to lose a lot of this talent. That's the problem with being talented. People leave and go to the NFL.
Right.
What confidence do you have that they're going to be able to do this again? Because I don't think you can have a team this deep with a snap of a finger in the recruiting class that's being brought in. Some guys are going to be able to play right away, but everybody won't.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it pretty much the last 5 or 6 games that Miami is kind of wasting what they have right now, especially in the offensive, defensive line, some other positions.
Lines, man.
That's, you know, it's a lot of guys that you're going to end up losing either to the draft or in the portal, and who knows what happens. And I do worry about that, but I also know, listen, the strength of the staff has been recruiting and also portal. So I've just got to trust that they're going to be able to get some more personnel in here to account for the guys that are losing. On the other hand, I need Mario to take steps forward, the whole coaching staff to take steps forward in game management and time management. And if Shannon Dawson does return as the offensive coordinator, he's got to find a way to put a scheme together that looks more like what Louisville did today. And get guys in space.
They were dialing.
Yeah, that just needs to happen. You know, so we'll see. I know the natives are getting restless. I was talking with some big-time boosters at the half. They're definitely restless. But
they ain't going to make no changes.
I know, no, they're not making changes in the head coach right now. Yeah.
I hope this wasn't the last time we saw Lance Gidry in this stadium.
Yep. LSU
coaching with that color on.
Yeah, LSU may come calling. You never know. So we'll see. Just before we wrap this thing up, what'd you think of, you know, up against the goal line, trying to score there, get the touchdown? What'd you think of that series? That's what they called the timeout.
I wanted 2 straight runs before you go to the 5.
Right.
I don't mind the timeout. I don't necessarily think it was terrible.
I asked Mario about the timeout. You can go to the Real Ones Canes podcast page to see my question and answer. But, you know, in retrospect, I don't mind the timeout as much either because he said, listen, they came out with the defense. We didn't like our look against that look. We needed to score. We had to put the timeout.
Because it's danged if you do, danged if you don't. If he doesn't call out and he throws a pick off a defense that they don't like, then everybody asks, hey, man, why didn't you call a timeout?
Right.
You got to be the type of guy that says, I did what I did, and I stand on it. I like that. I just didn't like not. You got Mark Fletcher, and you're on the 5-yard line. I want to give him 2, maybe 3 tries.
They gave him 1, right?
Got 1. And I don't like that.
Yeah, so as we're sitting here, I'm looking at the weather for Saturday up in Boston. I'll be there at the game because I'm going to go up and have a turkey day with the parents. I think it's going to be in the 40s at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill. This team historically does not play well when the temperature drops below 60. Your thoughts on Miami and BC? If Miami does not win next week, they will have the same ACC. They will have less ACC wins than they did last year.
No comment.
Okay. That being said, appreciate you guys. Make sure that you do subscribe to the podcast wherever you get the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page. We'll have stuff up there as well. And we will talk to you. We'll probably release this week's episode on Wednesday, I'm guessing. We'll see. We'll put our heads together and figure it out. Stay tuned. It's the Real Ones Canes podcast. We'll see you when we see you.